Hey, second grade, it's Miss Crawl, and today we're going to be talking about a special symbol called quotation marks. So I want all of you to think, have you ever heard quotation marks before? If you have, I want you to activate that prior knowledge and think about, what do you know about quotation marks? If you're not quite sure, that's perfectly fine because that's what we're going to be talking about today. So quotation marks are something that we use in our writing, or authors use, which you are all authors at times, whenever we write or whenever authors write, and they go around words that are directly spoken for something or dialogue. So for example, if we're in class and I say, go get your book, and maybe you go home that evening and you're talking to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousin, whoever, and you say, Miss Crawl said, go get your book. You're directly stating what I said, right? Those words came right from my mouth. It was dialogue. It came directly from me. Now, if you were writing that, you would have to use quotation marks to put around what I said. It helps readers know where the dialogue is in the sentence and what was directly said. It goes around that dialogue. So we're going to go ahead and do some practice with this. So let me make myself small here in the corner. And this is the worksheet we're going to do, but this top part pretty much is just restating what I said. So it says quotation marks are used to show the exact words someone or something said. So that's that dialogue, right? This is exactly what someone said. Quotation marks comes in pairs, so we'll take a look at that in a second. One set of quotation marks goes at the beginning of the dialogue, and one set goes at the end of the dialogue. So let's look at this first example. You can see these are our quotation marks right here. And like I just stated earlier, they come in pairs, which means two. So you're going to put two sets of quotation marks. One set goes at the beginning of the dialogue or what's being said, and then the other one goes at the end. It kind of closes in. So the quotation marks close in what was being said, the dialogue, what's directly stated. So follow along as I read this first example. Are you going to the party? Asked Maria. Let me read it one more time. Are you going to the party? Asked Maria. So you can see that this is Maria talking, and Maria asked a question. This came directly from Maria's mouth, and she said, are you going to the party? So we used quotation marks here. Put at the beginning, the first thing Maria said was are, and the last thing she said was party, so that's where we close off that quotation. Those are the words that Maria spoke. Now, I want you to notice one more important thing before we move on. The question mark here, that punctuation, also is included in the quotation marks. So the punctuation at the end, that last quotation mark that we're sticking in there, the punctuation goes in there as well. So comma, period, exclamation point, question mark, whatever it may be is going to be enclosed with the words as well. So we put our quotation marks after that punctuation at the end. Let's look at this next one. My mom demanded, clean your room. My mom demanded, clean your room. So we can see here that mom's demanding, these words are from mom's mouth, and mom said, clean your room. So we know we need to put our quotation marks around what was being said. One at the beginning, one at the end. So the first thing mom said was clean, so we put our quotation marks there, our first set of the pair, and then we close it off, room was the last thing she said. But remember what I said, the last quotation mark that we're putting, the punctuation that comes with it gets enclosed in there. So room, and then we put our quotation mark after the period. So let's read the directions. It says place quotation marks around the dialogue, and don't forget to mark both the beginning and end quotation marks. So we want to make sure that we're putting both sets, right? They come in pairs. We can't just put one, we need two. So our job is we're going to read, find the dialogue, what needs quotation marks around it, and then go ahead and put those quotation marks in. So I'm going to go ahead and talk us through number 1 and 2, and then once we get to number 3, I'm going to ask you guys to jump in and help a little bit. So number 1 says, follow along as I read it. Mrs. Taylor asked, James, will you be joining us for dinner? Let me read it one more time. Mrs. Taylor asked, James, will you be joining us for dinner? So we have Mrs. Taylor, this is her speaking, and the words that she says is, James, will you be joining us for dinner? So we know we need to put our quotation marks around that. All right, let me get my drawing tool. So the first thing she says is James. So our quotation marks will go there. And then the last thing she says is dinner. So that's where they end. Those are the words that she spoke. And remember, that punctuation at the end is included in that quotation mark. So now the dialogue, or what Mrs. Taylor spoke, is in those quotations. Awesome job. Let's look at number 2. Please bring me my blanket, requested Janie. Please bring me my blanket, requested Janie. So Janie's speaking here, and the words that Janie said is, please bring me my blanket. So we got to put quotations around those words. Well, the first thing she said is please. So let's go ahead and start it there. And the last thing she said was blanket. So that's where our other set goes. And look, that comma, remember at the end, is going to be included inside those quotations. So now what Janie said is in those quotation marks. All right, number 3. All right, so I'm going to challenge you guys. I want you to listen as I read it out loud, and then I'm going to have you think to yourselves, what is being said here? What's the dialogue that needs those quotation marks around it? So number 3, let's ride our bikes down the street, suggested Daniel. Let me read it one more time. Let's ride our bikes down the street, suggested Daniel. So I want you to pause me and think, what is being said here? Once you kind of have an answer, unpause me and we'll talk about it. So Daniel's saying, or Daniel's suggesting, this is coming out of Daniel's mouth, let's ride our bikes down the street. So that's what needs the quotation marks around it. So let's is the first word that he said, and then street is the last word. Now I want you to think, does this comma need to be inside or outside the quotation marks? Let me hear you yell it. Yeah, it needs to be inside because that's that end punctuation and that's included. These are the words that Daniel suggested, Daniel said. Awesome job, 2nd grade. Let's keep it up. Number 4, my father said, don't forget to look both ways before crossing the street. Let me read it one more time. My father said, don't forget to look both ways before crossing the street. So again, I want you to think, what is being said here? What's that dialogue that needs the quotation marks around it? Go ahead and pause me while you think, and then unpause me when you have your answer. Yeah, so don't forget to look both ways before crossing the street is what father said. So the first thing father said was don't, so quotation marks there. And the last thing he said was street, so that's the last thing that needs enclosed. But remember that period there, that punctuation needs included as well. When it's at the end, we're going to include that in our quotations. All right, 2nd grade, we are going to work on 2 more. So I want you to go ahead, let me get my eraser, and look at 5 and 6. So let's look at 5 first, and I want you guys to try this one on your own. So follow along as I read it, and then you're going to pause and tell me which one is the dialogue. Charlie and Melissa both screamed, no homework. Charlie and Melissa screamed, no homework. So I want you guys to go ahead, think about what is the dialogue, what needs quotation marks around it, pause me, and go ahead and figure that one out. What needs quotation marks around it? So no homework is what needs quotation marks because that's what Charlie and Melissa said. Those are the words that came out of their mouth. And then that exclamation point needs included as well. That exclamation point needs included because that's a punctuation at the end. All right, let's look at number 6. I can't believe it's almost summer, gasped Patricia. Let me read it one more time. I can't believe it's almost summer, gasped Patricia. So again, where our quotation marks go? I want you to go ahead and pause me and think, where do our quotation marks go? So our quotation marks go around I can't believe it's almost summer because that's what Patricia said. Those are the words that came out of Patricia's mouth. I can't believe it's almost summer. So our quotation marks go around that part and we include that exclamation point. All right, 2nd grade, real quick review before I let you guys go. So today we talked about quotation marks, and quotation marks are used to show the exact words someone or something says. So if we look back on our example here, are you going to the party? Asked Maria. Those are the words that came out of Maria's mouth. That's what Maria said. So we put quotation marks around those words. One quotation mark goes at the beginning. One quotation mark goes at the end, closes in what was said. And the punctuation that happens at the end is also included in that quotation mark. All right, 2nd grade, awesome job, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.